Welcome back to Before the Bell here on MMA Oddsmaker. Of course, that's Nick Kalikas. I'm Frank Trigg. This week, UFC Fight Night. What is this, 25? I think this is what this one is now. I'm not sure. There's so many fight nights now, I can't keep track. And we just had 213. We're about to have 214. They're making announcements for 215 now. I mean, it's all over the place. Big question, though. Can Weidman stay unbeaten as a main event? That's the question against Gastelum. I got my opinion on that one. I'm saying no, but we'll see what you say once we get there. Let's get to Dennis Bermudez and Darren Elkins first. Bermudez is ranked 10th. Elkins is ranked 12th. So quick shot. You got to say that Dennis is the favorite. Is that correct, or did Darren sneak by?
Yeah, I opened it just under 2-1 for Bermudez as a slight favorite, and the betting action overall has pushed it over 2-1. It was about as high as 2.5-1 at a certain point. Now action started coming back in on Elkins. So it's settling around minus 210 plus 175 right now. So just over 2-1 favorite Bermudez. And man, I'll tell you what, the way Elkins has been fighting, the improvements that he's made since he's been to alpha male, you cannot deny his game has just gotten to another level. He's more confident. I mean, the last fight that he had against Bektic, that was an amazing comeback win. He was getting dominated that fight. And you know what? He did the only thing he possibly could do to win that fight, is pull off a late stoppage, and he got it done. So I think that gives him another level of confidence as well. So I understand the recent action coming in Elkins' way, but Bermudez's game, man. I mean, the guy is talented on the feet. He's probably the better wrestler, the better grappler too. So it's not going to be an easy fight for Elkins. But if I have to favor a guy, I think it's dog or pass, and you got to go Elkins here. Okay,
I like it. I actually think Elkins wins this fight outright, to be honest with you. No money involved. I would pick Elkins to win this one. Just stylistically, I think he's the better. And the one thing that he did show this last one where I thought he'd lacked a little bit was his toughness. His actual and toughness is got nothing to do with training. It's got nothing to do with technique. Toughness is sometimes when chips are down, where are you going to stand up? How are you going to battle back from adversity? And he finally showed us, hey, look, I can get my butt kicked for 2 rounds and come back and win a fight where I'm completely getting dominated and find a way to win. So he's still learning as he's losing, which is very, very hard to do. And I got to think that Elkins is the better fighter. Do you see that same thing in Elkins as well, or do you see something different?
Yeah, no doubt. I think, like I said, all-time high right now is confidence. And the other thing we got to think of that I didn't mention is Bermudez's chin. It's always been a little bit suspect. I mean, he's been clipped, and a lot of times he gets submitted because he's rocked first, right? So Elkins is not known for that dominant power puncher. But I'll tell you what, again, if you look at his recent fights, his confidence is gaining, and he's hitting a little bit harder. I mean, he's going after these guys when he's fighting them. But he's going for the kill. He's going for the KO. So he's putting a lot of power into his attacks, whether it's a kick, whether it's a punch. So, again, that is something to keep an eye on, because a lot of us aren't going to really suspect Elkins to outstrike Bermudez, but that chin of Bermudez always worries me.
Yeah, and that is a definite factor, especially when you're dealing with a guy like Elkins that likes to strike and likes to throw, even though he's getting hit a lot harder from Bermudez, which on the scorecards, because his damage done, can actually win him the fight. Unfortunately, though, Darren's going to hit him a lot more, and that's the question where he has to be careful of, because as he's throwing in the middle of one of those big punches, Elkins just throws a stiff jab or a nice right hook in there, or excuse me, left hook in there. All of a sudden, it changes the game up. It can definitely be a different ball game. So let's move on to the main event. This one, I've got some serious concerns, man, with Weidman and Gastelum. Like I really love Chris. I love him as a person. I love him as a guy outside the cage as well as a fighter inside the cage. He always brings it. He's been on some tough fights this last little bit. He's dropped down to 5th in the ranking, with Kelvin Gastelum moving himself up to 8th. But man, Gastelum just knows how to fight, and I just have a hard time trying to pick Gastelum over Weidman on this one. But I think Weidman's the favorite.
No, actually, it's Gastelum.
Okay.
I did open the slight favorite. I opened Weidman minus 135, and the action right away came in on Gastelum, and it's bet him up to a favorite. He's minus 165 right now. Gastelum is.
Wow.
And Weidman's the underdog at plus 145. So I'm a little bit surprised as well. I mean, it's been one of those situations with Weidman. Everybody thinks basically he's a shot fighter. He's on a huge decline, and that's why he's been losing fights. I'm not so sure, though. Is that really fair to say, look who he's been fighting against? Musasi. That was a good fight. He was doing well in that. But it did get a little bit tougher as the fight progressed, and then, the controversy hit with the knees, of course, and if it was legal or illegal, whatnot, and Weidman found a way out. Unfortunately, he did take it. You know what I mean? And that fight, it went Musasi's way because of that. So he ended up kind of hurting himself. And then looking back at the Romero fight, though, too, he wasn't doing bad against Yoel Romero.
Yeah. He really wasn't. And surprisingly, for the way we've seen Yoel destroy everybody else, I think Weidman was actually the most, even though Yoel just lost. I still think that let's be honest, Whitaker's amazing. He's just a great guy. So obviously him beating Yoel was a smart way to go about it. And also Yoel didn't fight the first 2 rounds. But looking at him with Weidman, I was like, wow, Weidman was his toughest fight to date. I really just don't think that Weidman's on a huge decline like everybody else is giving him. I think that he's still viable. I think 1 or 2 different matchups, he's all of a sudden in the title hunt again. I just think Kelvin Gastelum's a bad matchup for him, and that's where I'm having the problem of looking at Weidman going, will you stay unbeaten as a main event fighter, which he has been so far. Unfortunately, this will be the first time he's going to lose as the main event because Gastelum is just a bad matchup for Chris.
Maybe so, and a lot of people believe if it goes into round 2, round 3, round 4, the cardio issues will come into play for Chris Weidman. That's why a lot of people are picking Gastelum here. That's why a lot of people are betting Gastelum here. And I do understand that, and it is definitely a concern because not even just this little time period that we've had seen him, Chris Weidman in a funk, but even before he won the title against Anderson Silva, I've always in the back of my mind questioned his cardio. But he has shown us that he can go 5 rounds. I mean, that war with Machida that he had was a beauty. I mean, that fight was tremendous. And it showed a lot of heart. It showed that he could fight tired and push, into deep rounds as well. Now, of course, he's had some injuries, some surgery since then as well. So a lot of people, again, think everything adds up, and they're questioning that. That's why they're betting Gastelum here. And I do get it. But I think, you know what, early on in this fight, we've seen Gastelum get bullied in fights. And I think the size difference here and the ability of Chris Weidman is going to bully Gastelum to the point where Weidman might finish it in the first 2 rounds. Yeah. I wouldn't be surprised. Again, Gastelum's a tough guy. He's durable, but he has been rocked before. And again, he's been out-muscled. He's been out-grinded before a little bit as well. So it's not like he's invincible out there, but he's tough. He does manage to survive in most cases. And then if you don't get rid of him early, you're in trouble probably late. So that's why I think Weidman has to be careful here and pace himself a little bit more if he's going to kind of go into deep waters in this fight.
And you mentioned something that I actually forgot. Gastelum has just recently moved up to middleweight. He was down at welterweight, had some weight issue problems, got moved up. So Weidman is the bigger fighter. He is the bigger fighter at this and been fighting at this weight class, obviously, for a lot longer, but also in title hunts to former champions. He's a guy that understands the weight, understands the size, and as a wrestler knows how to use that weight and size to his advantage. I forgot that Kevin has moved up, and you're right. Chris can win this fight in the first couple of rounds if he's able to find his way around it. I think the surgeries actually hurt Chris a lot more than he let on. I think it really messed with his training patterns and how he's able to train and how things were going. I think because this is in Long Island, it's in Nassau County, this is something that Chris is like, this is my hometown. You are coming here to see me fight. My friends and family don't have to travel. No one's got to fly to Vegas. No one's got to fly over to England to watch me fight. They're going to be able to do it right here in their backyard and be able to go home that night to their own beds. I think he's going to put that added, which for most fighters is pressure of being the hometown guy with all those people looking at him. But I think Weidman's actually going to do better because of it. But I still think that Kevin's going to win this fight. Of course, I'm going to be nervous round 1, round 2. Come round 3, I'm going to start, okay, Kevin's going to put this fight in the bag. But I hate picking against Chris. I always think that Chris is always in the fight. Even if he's losing, he's one of those guys that can always come back and win the fight, even late. Money's on the line. You're saying that Kelvin is the favorite right now. He got bet up that way. Where does my money go?
Not going to be a popular opinion out there based on the betting window so far, but I would say you put your money on Weidman. I mean, this is a fight. It's a must-win fight, really, if you think about it. And it's amazing to say that because Chris Weidman, not long ago, was considered the best middleweight in the world. And a lot of people thought that he'd go on a long reign and hold that strap because he's so talented, so gifted. So it's hard to believe that he is an underdog to a guy that is a welterweight fighter that had weight issues, too. I mean, again, the size difference is going to be huge here. And I do understand, again, there is a path to victory for Gastelum for sure. But am I going to lay the chalk on Kelvin Gastelum, on that price? There's no way I would lay the juice against a guy like Weidman, especially when his back is against the wall. Mm-hmm. And I think he's going to come out hungry, and he's going to come out aggressive. And I think he is going to be the bully here early on, and I think it might be enough.
Is this a stab bet at Chris Weidman, or is this a solid, hey, I'm usually a $50 bet guy. Let me put out 50 on this guy?
No, I think it's a bet. I mean, it's a real bet. It's a small flyer. There's value just at the price alone. I mean, again, Gastelum could go there and maybe knock him out in the 3rd round or late round 2 or something like that, But it's worth a shot. If you're looking at pure value, that's what betting's all about. I don't think the value's favorite here. I think the value's on the underdog because Weidman is getting disrespected. And I kind of like the fact that the majority of the opinion out there is against him. I mean, because let's face it, that could be a lot of smart opinions that are picking him to win, but there's also a lot of dummies out there that are going to be picking him to win as well.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Over Weidman. So there's a majority of them are going to be the dummies out there. No disrespect to anybody, of course, but that's just life. That's the way sports books operate.
Yeah.
So not many giving Weidman a chance. So I'm game. I mean, and I'm one that has actually profited against Weidman off and on the last few fights. Like I was on Ramiro against him when he won that fight. So it's not like all of a sudden I'm always been on Weidman and, he's my guy and I'm just kind of not giving up on him. I just think depending on the matchup, and again, that's what betting's all about. This is a good matchup for him. And again, I know that he hasn't really shown as much as you like to see recently, but against an undersized middleweight, let's face it, and Kelvin, they match up similarly in skill set. I think Weidman is value here because I really think it's more of a toss-up type of fight. So plus 145 odds, you got to take a small stab at it for sure.
Well, there you have it. That's Nick Kalikas. I'm Frank Trigg. That's, this is one of the tougher cards to look at, one of the tougher cards to kind of break down and pick, especially with Chris Weidman coming as a favorite, then getting bet down to the underdog. I mean, you have to put money on Weidman. You have to. He's just a guy that finds a way to win a lot of times. But do I think he's going to win the fight? No, my money's going on Weidman though. But I do think Calvin's going to win the fight. But yeah, if I'm gonna put some money down, it's going to go on Weidman. And then of course on my money's going to go on Elkins in the underdog, or excuse me, in the undercard. One other fight in the main event is one other fight on the entire card is a pretty good, getting some value out of it if you were to lay some money on it real quick.
I don't have the whole card in front of me with the current odds actually this second, but
okay.
I mean, there's some fights out there. I'm curious to see how Vellante versus Cummins works out as well because you have the wrestler, the grinder, and Cummins, which stand-up game is improving for sure, but that chin is just awful. And Vellante's the type of guy that's hard to take down. He's got good wrestling, and he can use his wrestling backwards, keeping the fight on the feet, and then landing that knockout blow. And I think that's probably what's going to happen with Vellante knocking out Cummins. I opened at minus 150. Everybody immediately bet the underdog there, and the dropped to near pick'em. Cummins was actually favored for a little while. Then it got bet back up, and it's about where I opened it now. So Vellante is hovering around 160, I believe, somewhere around there. And I think it's about right. So, but that's a fight intriguing to me because, man, it's hard to back Vellante, though. With all that being said, because a guy has let me down before in the past with his fight IQ, with his condition. I mean, it's a shame because the guy has a skill. Like I said, he's got great takedown defense, and he's got incredible knockout power. But his cardio is questionable as heck, and his fight IQ sometimes is questionable as well. Yeah. So those are kind of areas of caution that you have to use with a guy like Vellante. But matchup-wise, I think it is an outstanding matchup for him against Cummins. If he can keep off his back and keep a little bit of space, he's going to knock that chin out of Cummins. He's going to test that chin and knock him out probably.
You'll be able to check out my interview here with Cummins here on MMA Oddsbreaker, and he says that he's gone back to his old style of, I'm going back to a wrestler, I'm taking you down, I'm going to get on top, I'm going to beat you up, and that's exactly what I'm going to do to Vellante. And I don't see him being any different, but Vionta's hard to take down. It's going to be tough. And I was actually hoping that was the fight you're going to talk about, because that's the one I'm most interested in of all the, obviously there's a lot of great fights on this card, but that particular fight is the one I'm most interested in because of the interview I had with Pat Cummins, where he's like, I fell into it. I became a problem where I thought I could outbox everybody, and that's what I tried to do, and look what happened to me. And I look like an idiot, so now I'm going to go back to my old style. And then I didn't want to tell him in the middle of the interview and offset him because sometimes Cummins gets mad at me, and he'll like shut down and change gears on me and won't give me a good interview. So I kept it to myself, and I'm like, yeah, but can you take Vellante down? Like, this is a big question. Like, can you get him down to the ground? I'm not sure how this is going to work out. So, yeah, it's going to be interesting. If he
can do it, if he can implement that game plan, especially early on, he's going to win the fight because I think that, he'll wear out Vellante. You know what I mean? If he has success early on and he's heavy on top, he gets to the takedown and is able to hold him down, then yeah, that's really good for him. Or if he can even pin him up against a cage and just hold him there for most of the round, if the referees don't break him up, you know what I mean? Yeah. Just slow this fight down, but at the same time, make it a hard, tough, like carry your body weight type of fight against Vellante, wear him down. I think he's got a shot there, but I don't know. I think Vellante still knocks him out, honestly.
Well, there's our picks for this week. Good luck with UFC Fight Night. We'll talk to you again next week.